5 years of doing agency work. Here's what I've learned. This video is hopefully going to share my experience and help you either grow in the company you're working with or simply just become a better creative. Let me tell you what this video is not. This video is not a get-rich-quick scheme or a how-to video or how to do your own thing. This is none of that. This is simply what I've learned in the last 5 years of working with agencies that I felt like I grew in. I felt like I did some pretty cool things in, and so I just want to share that with you, and if it inspires you and encourages you, that's really the only goal. I don't really care about anything other than helping people and hopefully serving them, because there might be someone that was in my shoes who is probably suffering right now simply because they don't know what they don't know. So let me know if this helps. In 2019, I lost my dream job, and it was extremely hard for me to figure out what I was going to do next financially, simply because I didn't have really that many options. And back in 2013, 2014, I used to do photography and dabble with weddings and doing all kinds of cool stuff with that and learning how to start a business. And I don't think I ever truly figured that part out, especially with the wedding business, because I was in it for the wrong reasons, and I had kind of ulterior motives to simply just make more money. And so I really didn't think that that's what I was going to go back to, and I didn't think that that was the direction that my future was going to take. And so in 2019, when I lost this job, the last thing I thought about was doing photography again, content, video. That it was never on my mind. And so when I said yes to going into agency work, it was literally the thing I felt like God was calling me to, and I said yes to it wholeheartedly. In the fall of 2019, a friend of mine called me and he said, "Hey bro, what do you think about doing video?" And I told him plainly, I don't think about video. It's not on my mind. It's not something that I'm in pursuit of or actually want to do, because my dream job was to do ministry, work at a church, and just serve the local community by showing them and teaching them about God. So when I say that this was not on my radar, I truly mean it. So on the phone call, he was pretty much like, "Bro, seriously, you should do it. You should think about it. You should come on this shoot, at least try it out, run one of the cameras and see how you like it." And at the time, I was working at an electrical company, and I was running the shop. So I would clean, run supplies out to teams, things like that, et cetera, et cetera. And so I had to ask off. And so I asked off. And the craziest part about this is that when I asked off, it was just a day off. It wasn't me leaving my job. It wasn't me quitting. It was just me taking a day off to try to go to the shoot and help my friend and see if this was something that was in the cards for me. So the next day, I essentially go back to work at the electrical company, and the owner comes up to me and he tells me, "Hey man, I hope the video thing works out. We're running out of money and we gotta let people go." Quickly, I'm like, wait. That was not a job interview. That was not an opportunity for me to go run to. It was simply me helping out a friend. He's like, "I'm sorry, man, there's nothing I can do. That's just how things are." And so quickly, I call my friend back and I'm like, "Hey man, let me know what can I do to start working with you guys? And I need work. I need to make something happen." And he was just like, "Hey man, I don't really know. Just show up." With agency work, I think the biggest lesson that I learned was that you just have to show up. It's not a promise, and it's definitely not a formula, but it is the first step with anything. I started showing up. I started watching what everyone was doing. I learned more about video cameras. I learned more about editing programs. I learned about how to get creative with shots, how to work fast. And this was all from just showing up. I didn't even get paid that much yet. I think the first time I got my paycheck, it was maybe like $300, and I was showing up for like 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, I need to make more money. But I kept showing up. I made that initial investment. And I think with agency work, it's the same way. You have to show up. You have to make investment. Your goal can't be to take, get money. Like it can't be that. It has to be to show up and truly make investments day in and day out. So that was lesson number 1. And lesson number 2 was simply say yes. Because There was a time when my friend who had got me into the company and gave me that first opportunity left to start his own company. And so I was put in a position where everybody was like, who's going to be the next lead videographer? Who's going to be the next lead creative? And I was just like, dude, I'll do it. I'll learn. Like, I will do whatever it takes. And so that was kind of lesson number 2, is just say yes. Say yes to the opportunities that are presented and move quick, because if you don't, then someone else will. And so I just jumped into it. I went after it really quickly, and I just was quick on my feet. I learned everything about what needed to happen when it came to taking my skill to the next level, when it was lighting, structuring the set and making it look appropriate, at least to the best of my knowledge, working with clients and communicating well. Like, those were things I learned on my feet really quickly. And when I look back now, thank God I didn't mess anything up, because I truly, truly was being trusted with clients and relationships that I probably had no business of handling. But I did it well because I wanted to do my best. And so I treated everything as an opportunity. And lesson number 3 was be all in. So fast forward, the same friend who gave me the opportunity to join that first creative company gave me a call and was like, hey bro, what do you think about moving to Nashville? And I was like, dude, that is definitely not on the cards for me. And he was like, no, dude, you should come. So I came, and essentially I ended up joining his company, which was one of the coolest companies I was ever a part of. It was like, the guys were amazing, the clients were amazing, everything about it was so much fun. And I quickly learned that my most important lesson was probably be all in. And so I'd kind of joke with my friends and I say, I'm an all in kind of guy. And I mean that. I truly mean that. I try to be, to the best of my ability, an all in kind of person, because I want to be present wherever I'm at. And being a distracted person, it's a big disservice to those around me and to those that I'm working with and building with. And so being all in was something that I had to learn to do, because moving from Illinois to Nashville, Tennessee, which is where I'm currently at, I had to learn that I can't keep working on things back in Illinois if I'm wanting to grow in this new company. I wanted to grow in leadership. I wanted to grow in opportunity. I wanted to make more money. But you can't do that. People notice when you're distracted. People notice when you're not making them a priority. The business owners, your managers, your leaders, they know when you're not fully committed. And that goes for all of life. And so I just decided that after a hard conversation they had with me, which I massively respect them for doing that, it taught me that I had to be all in, because being all in was going to be the way that we made the most impact, created our best work, and it was going to be the way that we were going to be able to grow this thing that we loved the quickest. And so be all in. That was a big takeaway that I took from that. Be a student. Like, from the first year that I started agency work to the 3rd year, it was like, always learn. I was always learning. There was always an opportunity to learn something new. And so I just committed myself to the stewardship of being a student and not acting like I had it all figured out. Like, that was a big thing, is that I constantly felt like, I think at the beginning I did feel like I had it all figured out, but I definitely didn't. Deep down inside, I was always trying to learn. I was always trying to discover what I didn't know and how I could take things that other people were doing and apply them to what I was doing so that I could be better. Don't complain. Complaining is it's literally like poison the water. You want to be someone who's the life in the room. You want to be the energy, because if you're not, then nobody's going to trust you with anything, especially someone who complains. And that was a problem I had at this agency that I was at in Nashville. I would constantly complain. I would complain about my situation. I would complain about my circumstances, and it affected my creative work. It affected the balance of the way that the team was working together. It would put pressure on the owners, unneeded pressure, because all that stuff that was happening internally didn't involve anyone else externally, and I was involving them by complaining. And so just find a way to let those things out at the right time and not just vomit on people, because you're being trusted to do things, especially at an agency, Even if you're starting really low or in the middle or at a high level, you're being trusted to do something. And complaining only pulls you away from being a resource and an asset to the company. And so you got to mitigate and minimize complaint. It doesn't help anyone, and it doesn't help the team you're trying to build. And I just took on massive responsibility, which right now I think is one of my greatest assets, is that I own my mistakes. I own what I do wrong, but I also own what I do right. And so now I'm able to have a humility when people are like, dude, that was awesome, that I can say, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Because I own it. I own every part of what I do now. And so that's actually a really good positive that has come along with that. Take on the work people ignore. There is so much missed opportunity when you're working at agencies. Like, there's so much work people are not doing and don't want to do, but they don't realize that that is a direct opportunity that they're missing out on that's going to take them to the next level. For instance, nobody wants to build the paperwork for structuring a shoot. No one wants to do that. That's not fun. That's not exciting. I would rather work on the front end where it's like, oh, let me storyboard. Let me give you ideas. Let me tell you what we could do and what we should do. And I was really into that. I was like, dude, I could help you do this. I could help you do that. Or I've been on Tumblr and I've been on Pinterest, bro. I've seen people do this and that. And so I thought that that was the thing I should be doing to grow in leadership. But really it was like the boring work. I put together this whole planning document that's going to help us streamline the whole video production. And it's literally A to Z, like everything, all encompassing, handles everything. You didn't ask for it, but I took care of it. Or even like, let me put together the document that we're going to send to clients, or, structuring what that's going to look like, the project and the deliverables. Like, that's the boring work. Everybody would rather hold a camera. Everybody would rather edit the video. And I was just willing to take on things that most people weren't willing to do. Like, hey, let me clean up after production. Let me prepare for production. Most of the times I missed a lot of opportunities because I simply wasn't paying attention. Because I was one of those people who was not willing to do the boring work. I would rather just do the fun stuff. But if you want to grow in the agency that you're at, I would say do the boring work. Plan out your day. Plan out what you're going to accomplish. Prepare for things. Make things look better than they did before. Pay attention to the details everyone else is ignoring. So, and then finally, last but not least, is be a team player. Most of the time, I would rather or prefer to work by myself, but I realized that the greatest work that I did was in collaboration with other creatives around me and the people that were on my team. For instance, I've been a part of a startup where I had to do everything by myself. I would not prefer to do that over being a part of a team and serving one small role with a bigger collective, because the product is always better. I'm telling you, working with other people is the best. So I would just encourage you to be a team player and work with those around you. This is kind of what I've learned in the last 5 years of working with the agency. If you feel like this helped you or this encouraged you and you would like to see more of it, click subscribe, and hopefully we're able to do more of it soon. Thanks for listening. And honestly, keep being awesome.